If you worry about the judgment of others, if in order to walk your path, it would require this courageous act, this expression of self in such a way where people that may know you, people that may be associated with you would see you do this and they would judge you in a negative way. And that causes you to never go out there and express yourself, to never go out there and properly take a step forward in the world, in public, and show more of who you are and what your work is all about, then this video is for you. And I want to tell you about the reverse transformation. And my name is Joe Yuli. I'm a philosopher and I'm deeply obsessed with vocations and career paths and knowing how to walk our calling in the 21st century. And that's why I educate people on places like YouTube, Instagram, Substack, and a podcast called the Career Archetypes Podcast. And it's why I show people step by step how to unearth their own career archetype so they can choose the right career path with conviction in our Unearth membership. Because our life is meant to be lived walking our calling. Our work should be deeply meaningful and purposeful, and it can be, but it requires us to know what that calling is and then to be able to walk the path in such a way that it's in deep alignment with the person that we're meant to become and what our soul would like us to cultivate in this lifetime. And I've noticed time and time again that a lot of people who go to pursue their path end up not being able to. Not because they're not capable, not because they don't have the competency, not because they don't have the know-how, but because they're worried about people that will see them walking their path in the world, worried that other people will judge how it is they go about their work, how it is that they go about expressing themselves. If you were to think about somebody that decides, hey, maybe I should share more about my story, maybe I should share more about my creativity or just share my creativity itself on something like a social media platform, and then they have to constantly think about, hey, that person from work that's following me, hey, that family member that's following me, they might see this. They might see this and they might judge it. And then they might tell me that, hey, this isn't very good, or why am I doing this, or I shouldn't be doing this. And so they don't do it. They don't do it because they are fearful of the people in their lives that are telling them, hey, you probably shouldn't act like that, even if they haven't told them that directly. They're telling them in this indirect manner, in a way that is unwritten and yet felt or known. And there's this other group that people don't want to express towards, this group of this faceless collective, putting yourself into the world or expressing your work or walking your path that deviates from a normal understood path, can cause people to feel judged by just random, everyday people that they've never met or never contacted. And this can also hold them in. But what ends up happening is this reverse transformation, this place where people end up where they're unable to properly unfold themselves, they're unable to properly express themselves. And maybe at one point in their life, they took a step out and they shared what it was that they truly wanted to do, only to be shut down, only to be told, hey, you can't pay the bills like that. Hey, to pursue that kind of path, it's kind of weird, it's kind of alternative. Maybe you shouldn't go that route. Maybe you should go and walk a nice 9-to-5 traditional path that will give you a sense of stability and support. And so in that moment where they exposed a little bit more of themselves and were told that's not possible or felt as though it wasn't possible, they go back in, they invert. And in that inversion, they end up holding themselves within this shadowy, dark place that doesn't allow for growth. And they end up being in the place where they end up decaying. They end up belittling themselves. They end up going backwards. And this is what I mean by the reverse transformation. It occurs when onlookers bring upon their own judgment to the person and therefore cause them to not take any risks or any steps that would expose more of who they are and what their work is about. And this would cause them to just be held in a stalemate where they stand still. It's to the point where it's almost like somebody's holding a gun at them and that gun just causes them to freeze. They're frozen in time. They're unable to make progress. And this is why a lot of people that don't know what their career path is end up feeling stuck and unsure. They're stuck in this standstill. They're stuck in this freeze. That to go out there and express more of who they are and the work they want to be doing in this life is to, in and of itself, be an act of possible destruction, possible chaos. And so they don't move, and they think that this morbid safety is a place that is going to help them or aid them, and yet it does the very opposite. It holds them back from the path that they should be walking, the path that they could have walked. And in that glimmer where they first stepped out, they had it. They were moving forward. Even as children, when we express ourselves or certain activities, there are moments when it's pure, it's real, it's in alignment. And then we're given the waggy finger, or we're told you shouldn't be doing that, or we're told, hey, you can't pursue that path because they pursued that path in the past and it didn't succeed for them, or they've seen other people try to pursue that and they ended up on Skid Row. And so therefore, if you pursue that path, then that must happen to you, and yet that's not true. But in that moment of pure expression, they had it, but everybody else's potential for judgment ends up being like this cloud that covers them. And this cloud that covers them acts like, in their mind, a shield, but really it's just absorbing all their potential, and they're missing out on their true expression in the world. And by not going out into the world and learning how to deal with this judgment, they end up being at a standstill, but that standstill inevitably ends up reversing. If you were to imagine someone on a train that's fallen asleep and they're suddenly at the end of the line, it's only a matter of time before not only do they miss their stop, but they're returned back to where they came from. And this is very similar when it comes to people that never take that leap or never move forward because they're being watchful of other people that are watching them. And they're so worried about the opinions of other people that they've lost touch with their own opinion of themselves. And the only real way to overcome this, or the way that I've seen it happen a lot of the times with working with students on judgment of others, is that there's this tension within you. And one part of you is saying, don't put yourself out there. You're going to be judged. Sally from the workplace is going to see you and she's going to call you out, or she's going to mock you, or your parent that thinks that you should become a lawyer is going to hear about this and they're going to tell you, don't pursue that path, pursue the path of law. That's what you're meant to be doing. And they're going to have opinions about how you live. And so there's a tension about, hey, I don't want to actually go and walk this path because I'm going to have to deal with all this judgment. With this other side of yourself that knows that you have more to bring to the world, that you have a calling, even if you don't know what that calling is with precise details, even if you don't have a concrete plan yet or an instruction manual that's going to tell you how to walk every single step of the way like other paths that are more traditional do, you still have this deep understanding of yourself that, hey, this other path, even though I don't know exactly what it looks like, this seems to be more me. And so there's this tension going on, this tug-of-war match. And what ends up needing to happen is they need to overcome the judgment of other people and side with the person that is walking their path, even when they don't know exactly how it all pans out, even when it isn't easily understood by other people. Which leads me to the risk of not actually overcoming this side of yourself. Because when you end up holding up a false version of yourself to the world, it's like Atlas carrying the weight of the world. It slowly will crush you downwards, push you downwards. It grows heavy, it grows solid. This false sense of self being expressed as this persona that isn't you over time pushes you to the ground. It turns you to this place of just dust. And being held in a standstill because of the onlookers of other people is the slow decay, the slow reverse transformation, where your wings are fragile and over time they grow tattered. But to overcome this, you have to accept yourself. You have to take yourself back. Take this person that in some way already knows what their calling is. Maybe you haven't seen it, maybe you don't know it, but it's in there and you can sense that it's in there. And it's this taking yourself back, and you begin to accept yourself, no matter how it comes across to other people, no matter the opinions that other people want to tell you as to why you shouldn't be walking that path. You accept your path, you take full responsibility for it. You don't allow other people to hold you in place, to cause you to be some form of statue with no interior. And by accepting yourself and by revealing more and more of yourself over time, more and more of your work over time, you begin to softly erupt. It's not this dramatic overnight, hey, I've completely changed and now I'm so comfortable with sharing all the different facets of who I am and walking a path that is totally different from how everybody else is walking their path, or totally different from the path that other people had set in stone for me. But you begin to express and expose yourself slowly, and more of the time other people see this, and you begin to solidify a real core. You begin to bring yourself truly to the world. I remember the very first time that I told someone that my career archetype was a philosopher, and it was somebody that was actually leaving a couch at our home. And he brought the couch in and laid it down. And as he was leaving, he turned to me and he asked me, well, so what do you do for work? And I said that I'm a philosopher. And it was the very first time I'd ever told a stranger that I was a philosopher, and it seemed very foreign to me still. It hadn't been properly integrated. I was still in this process of embodying it. And I remember her just saying to me, well, oh, okay, that's cool. That's interesting and different. And that was that. But in that moment of expression and exposure, I ended up hardening who it was that I wanted to be in the world. And it didn't have this hollow shell. I had a root system within it that was holding me firmly to the ground. And developing that more and more over time, taking myself back, allows for that sense of being able to overcome the judgment of other people, no matter where they come from, no matter if they come from your family, your friends, no matter if they come from this faceless collective now that you're worried about, you're able to handle it. And the more that you do it, the easier that it becomes. And so this reverse transformation can be reversed again. And it's simply by taking yourself back, claiming yourself, claiming who you are, and then going out into the world and being okay with being seen as that person, overcoming what I would call as a becoming barrier, this barrier of judgment along the way to you properly embodying who it is that you're meant to be. And once you overcome that barrier of judgment, which is a requirement, meaning that you need to self-accept who it is that you are in order to walk your path at all, then you're able to begin to see yourself and know, see the parts of yourself that you held back and think, why? Why did I even do that in the first place? And other people will still see you. Other people will still judge you, but you'll be able to handle that. And they, unfortunately, are in their own reverse transformation. Their judgment of you is holding themselves back. They're simply just reflecting out what it is that they're going through. And whilst you go out there and spread your wings and fly, they'll decompose. And so if you are interested in learning which career path is yours and how to unearth your very own career archetype, as well as overcome barriers such as judgment, then check out the Unearth membership. In that membership, it's a course and a community. And in that course, I guide people through this process of unearthing their career archetype, choosing their career path, and also overcoming their becoming barriers like judgment, like fear of failure, like this sense of wanting to belong. And by doing that, people are able to then later on walk their path with conviction. And so if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link underneath this video and you can check it out there.